Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about headless guitars, how they work, how they sound, and what sets them apart from other traditional guitars. This is the Axe. Let's check it out. Headless guitars are blowing up right now in all genres of music. Like many of you guys out there, I thought headless guitars died in the 80s with those old Steinberger guitars. Ooh. Not only are more professional artists using headless guitars in all genres, many companies are now making headless guitars. Even budget brands like Harley Benton are making models to appeal to the headless guitar market. Now let's get into how they work, how they sound, and the one thing that really sets headless guitars apart from traditional guitars. So why are these guitars having a resurgence like 40 years after their heyday? It really comes to how they work and what they have to offer. One is there's less wood and they're lighter. This is more environmental friendly and is much less cumbersome on stage. Two, the ergonomic design. I'm sure you've all seen them, all the cuts and curves. Headless guitars have a lot less neck dive, and they're also a shorter guitar which has closer extension to your body. This is great for active players on stage. It also gives you a shorter guitar without sacrificing length. Another reason these guitars are getting so popular is the actual hardware that comes with them. The nut is 100% different than a traditional guitar. No longer is there a bone or plastic or synthetic nut. When this becomes super awesome is when you compare them to regular guitars that have floating trims like Floyd Rose's. Now let's talk about the actual sound of headless guitars. I personally get a lot of questions about this. While the differences are pretty minute, for some players, it might be a big deal. Where headless guitars shine bright is when you play open notes. When you play open strings, it really resonates because of that lack of a synthetic or bone nut that traditional guitars usually have. Now, if open strings sound great, what genre of music are we talking about here? Metal, djenting, chugging. These guitars are great for that. Now, I had a real question about the sound of headless guitars when it came to missing its head. I was curious if the headstock contributed to any loss of like resonance or vibration throughout the guitar and affected its sound. Contrary to popular belief, I couldn't find a single thing that proved that headless guitars had lack of resonance or problem with tone. Even if there was, in today's day and age with all the plugins, it'd probably be fine. Now, the biggest benefit of a headless guitar over a traditional guitar is something you probably didn't think about. Generally, when you look at these headless guitars, what do they look like? A lot of them are multiscale, right? Now I understand the multiscale guitar is kind of a hard concept to grasp, but what a multiscale does is it improves the intonation with all of the strings across the fretboard. So basically, your thick strings are gonna be the longest and your lower gauge strings are gonna be the shortest. Think about a harp or a grand piano. If you open those bad boys up, you can tell that the thick strings are the longest and the lower gauge strings are the shortest. What does this mean for your playing? This means that the thick gauge strings can become really lax and dampen your sound, and when plucked really hard can give you sharp tones. Alright guys, that's the down and dirty on headless guitars. I hope you really enjoyed it. As always, if you could subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. When I do mods or switch out gear, I usually send out my old components to all my subscribers. So I really appreciate your support. Thanks.